Prepare my ship.
Master.
How unfortunate you are attempting to deceive me. You have become
Rival!
Emperor Palpatine's reign was marked not only by ruthless conquest and manipulation, but also by a vision that extended far beyond his physical lifetime. Even after his apparent death in Return of the Jedi, his shadow loomed large over the galaxy, embodied by the secretive cult known as the Sith Eternal. This clandestine faction, hidden on the remote world of Exegol, was the ultimate expression of Palpatine's plan for eternal dark rule, a contingency designed to ensure that the Sith legacy would never fade, no matter the cost. The Sith Eternal, guardians of the Dark Legacy. The Sith Eternal was not just a fanatical sect of dark side devotees. They were the architects of Palpatine's grand design for galactic domination that would outlast his mortality. Operating from the shadows, this cult remained fiercely loyal to the Sith philosophy of power through fear, control, and subjugation. Exegol, the Sith Eternal's hidden stronghold in the unknown regions, was more than a refuge. It was a fortress of dark knowledge, ancient Sith rituals, and the birthplace of the Final Order, the new Imperial fleet that could rival or even surpass the original Empire. This secret society illustrates that Palpatine was never content with a single lifetime of rule. Instead, he prepared to become a transcendent force, one whose influence could persist indefinitely through proxies, clones, or spiritual essence. Exegol and the Final Order, the ultimate contingency. Exegol's introduction in The Rise of Skywalker marked the revelation of Palpatine's contingency plan, a final attempt to crush the Resistance and cement Sith domination over the galaxy. The Final Order fleet, composed of thousands of Star Destroyers equipped with planet-destroying weapons, symbolized the sheer scale and ambition of this plan. This was not merely an extension of the Empire, but a leap into something far more terrifying, a galactic death grip designed to erase all opposition. The sheer size of this fleet and its hidden location underscore Palpatine's foresight and patience. He anticipated defeat, exile, and even physical death, but ensured that his vision could be revived and executed with devastating power at the right moment. Through dark rituals and Sith science, Palpatine's survival after Return of the Jedi was hinted to be unnatural. A blend of Sith alchemy, cloning, and dark side mastery. His return was not just physical but symbolic, a reminder that the Sith Eternal had never truly been defeated. The sequel trilogy, a testament to Palpatine's enduring influence? The events of the sequel trilogy raise a compelling question. Did Palpatine ultimately succeed in embedding himself so deeply into the galaxy's fate that his legacy became inescapable? On one hand, his resurrection and near return to power illustrate the persistence of his dark philosophy. Even when believed dead and buried, his influence inspired fanaticism and fear that threatened to plunge the galaxy back into tyranny. Kylo Ren's struggle and eventual rejection of Palpatine's vision showed that the Sith's hold is not absolute. But the fact that Palpatine could orchestrate such a near catastrophe after decades in hiding speaks volumes about his cunning and the depth of his contingency planning. Moreover, the Sith Eternal's existence reveals that the battle against darkness is never truly over. Palpatine's machinations remind us that evil often evolves, waiting patiently in the shadows for a chance to rise again. Legacy. Beyond death, philosophical and narrative implications, Palpatine's Sith Eternal plan also carries profound narrative weight. It challenges the notion of finality in Star Wars, that death is not the end, and evil can perpetuate itself through legacy and ideology. This echoes real-world themes about the dangers of unchecked power and fanaticism, showing how toxic philosophies can survive individuals and institutions alike. The Sith Eternal represents a spiritual and ideological inheritance darker than any physical empire, emphasizing that the struggle between light and dark is cyclical and eternal. Conclusion: Palpatine's enduring shadow. In conclusion, The Sith Eternal and its manifestation through Exegol and the Final Order symbolize Palpatine's ultimate bid for immortality and dominion. His long-term strategy was not merely to conquer the galaxy in his lifetime, but to create a system that could outlive him. A legacy of darkness that would persist beyond death. While the Resistance ultimately triumphed, the shadow of the Sith Eternal serves as a stark reminder that evil is never fully defeated. Palpatine's influence remains an echo in the ashes of the galaxy, a cautionary tale of power's corrupting nature and the vigilance required to preserve freedom. The saga of Palpatine and the Sith Eternal leaves fans pondering the depths of darkness lurking beneath the surface of galactic history, and the eternal struggle to overcome it. Emperor Palpatine's reign was defined not only by military conquest and political manipulation, but also by a more insidious weapon: fear. His mastery of psychological warfare, a deliberate, systematic use of propaganda, fear-mongering, and manipulation, reshaped the very mindset of the galaxy's inhabitants. This contagion of fear did more than maintain control during his lifetime. It left deep scars that continued to influence galactic society long after his physical demise. Propaganda and fear as tools of control. Palpatine's rise to power was carefully orchestrated through a campaign of psychological manipulation. He exploited the galaxy's fears, fear of war, chaos, terrorism, and external threats, to present himself as the only figure capable of restoring order. Through carefully crafted speeches, media, and controlled narratives, Palpatine painted the Jedi as traitors, the Separatists as dangerous radicals, and the Republic as fragile and ineffective without his leadership. This constant barrage of fear justified the erosion of civil liberties and democratic norms. The public was conditioned to accept emergency powers and harsh crackdowns as necessary evils for the greater good. His propaganda machinery made fear a currency, traded for loyalty and obedience. The lasting impact on galactic psychology. The psychological imprint Palpatine left on the galaxy's population is profound and long-lasting. Even decades after his death, the memory of his tyranny continues to warp political discourse and social trust. In the aftermath of the Empire's fall, many systems remain traumatized by years of oppression. The scars of mistrust run deep between governments and their citizens, among different species, and even within families. This fracturing of trust created fertile ground for new authoritarian movements and extremist factions that either seek to revive Palpatine's legacy or weaponize his memory to further their own agendas. Memory as a weapon, manipulating fear beyond death. Palpatine's death did not mark the end of his influence. His image and legacy have become tools for psychological warfare wielded by various factions in the galaxy's ongoing conflicts. The First Order, for example, capitalizes on the lingering fear of the Empire's wrath to legitimize its own rise. Their propaganda echoes Palpatine's rhetoric, warning of chaos without strong leadership and promising order through absolute control. The shadow of the Emperor's reign serves as both a threat and a rallying point. Similarly, resistance groups and political opponents sometimes invoke Palpatine's tyranny as a cautionary tale, manipulating collective memory to unify people or justify extreme measures. This complex relationship with Palpatine's legacy shows how fear and trauma can be repurposed, weaponized to control minds long after the original tyrant has fallen. Psychological trauma on characters and factions. On a more personal level, Palpatine's reign inflicted deep psychological wounds on individuals and groups who lived through his oppressive rule. Jedi survivors carry the burden of betrayal and near annihilation. Their faith in the Republic shattered. Many struggle with distrust and a fractured identity. Characters like Luke Skywalker wrestle with the trauma of facing an enemy who used manipulation and fear rather than open confrontation. For political leaders and ordinary citizens alike, memories of surveillance, brutality, and lost freedoms create an underlying anxiety that shapes their decisions and interactions. Even those who never directly experience the Empire's worst acts grow up in its shadow, inheriting a collective trauma that colors their worldview. The unseen war, psychological battlefields. Palpatine's psychological warfare extended beyond immediate control to a more subtle, ongoing battle for hearts and minds. This unseen war shapes alliances, conflicts, and political movements throughout the galaxy. The paranoia and suspicion fostered under his rule linger in governments and rebel cells alike, complicating cooperation and healing. Understanding this aspect of Palpatine's legacy helps explain why the struggle for freedom is never just about military might, but also about reclaiming trust, rebuilding communities, and overcoming the fear that can divide and conquer. Conclusion: the enduring contagion. In conclusion, Palpatine's systematic use of propaganda and fear created a contagion that infected not only institutions but the very psyche of the galaxy's inhabitants. His psychological warfare was as devastating as any battle fleet, leaving wounds that bleed into the present day. The memory of his tyranny, while a warning, can also be a weapon. Manipulated by those who seek power or revenge, perpetuating cycles of fear and control. Recognizing this contagion is crucial for understanding the galaxy's ongoing conflicts and the profound challenges faced by those who dare to resist oppression. The battle against Palpatine's legacy is a battle for minds and hearts, one that continues long after the Emperor's throne has fallen. The fall of Emperor Palpatine and the collapse of the Galactic Empire marked a pivotal turning point for the galaxy. Yet, despite the Empire's defeat, Palpatine's ideological remnants continue to haunt every corner of the galaxy, embedded in institutions, mindsets, and scars left on its people. The struggle to dismantle this dark legacy is ongoing, complex, and fraught with obstacles. The galaxy finds itself caught in a perpetual cycle of confronting and attempting to overcome the pervasive influence of one of its most insidious tyrants. The New Republic's struggle, a fragile foundation founded in the aftermath of the Empire's fall, the New Republic embodies hope, a vision of democracy restored and peace achieved. Yet, building a galaxy-wide government from the ashes of authoritarian rule is no small feat. The New Republic faces tremendous challenges. Fragmented systems still loyal to the Empire's ideals, deep-seated mistrust between species and sectors, and political infighting fueled by decades of fear and trauma. Palpatine's ideological shadow lingers within these fractures. The centralized control he wielded has left a vacuum difficult to fill with genuine cooperation. Some factions within the New Republic advocate for strong leadership, fearing chaos without it, an echo of Palpatine's own arguments. Moreover, remnants of the Empire, and later the First Order, seek to exploit these vulnerabilities, demonstrating that Palpatine's vision never truly died, but rather transformed and adapted to new contexts. Movements and characters, fighting for a new dawn. Despite the heavy legacy, heroes and movements arise to challenge the ongoing cycle. They symbolize the galaxy's resilience and desire for genuine freedom beyond the shadow of the Sith Lord, the Resistance. Emerging as the primary opposition to the First Order, the Resistance continues, the fight against authoritarianism fueled by Palpatine's legacy. Led by figures like Leia Organa, it embodies the spirit of rebellion and hope that defined the galaxy's earlier battles. Their struggle is not just military, but ideological, working to inspire unity and trust among disparate groups, rebuilding alliances fractured by fear and distrust. Rey, a symbol of renewal. Rey's journey is emblematic of the galaxy's quest to break free from the past. Born with no ties to the old regimes, she rises not through inheritance or legacy, but through choice and courage. Her confrontation with Palpatine's return and ultimate defeat signals a turning point, a rejection of destiny dictated by darkness, and a commitment to forging a new path. Other movements and localized efforts. Their efforts include promoting cross-cultural understanding, addressing historical grievances, and advocating transparency and justice. These grassroots movements remind us that breaking Palpatine's cycle requires change not only at the top, but also within the fabric of everyday life. Can the galaxy truly escape Palpatine's shadow? This leads to a profound question. Is it possible for the galaxy to ever fully escape the pervasive influence of Palpatine's ideology, or is his legacy an eternal shadow? The cyclical nature of Star Wars storytelling suggests that the battle between light and dark, freedom and tyranny, is never fully resolved, a cosmic dance as old as the Force itself. Palpatine's manipulation of fear, control, and power created systemic issues that cannot be undone overnight. These ideas can resurface whenever societies face fear, uncertainty, or division. However, the galaxy's capacity for hope, courage and unity also provides a counterbalance. The stories of heroes like Leia, Luke, and Rey show that breaking the cycle is possible. But it requires vigilance, sacrifice, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. Conclusion: breaking the cycle. The New Republic and countless others strive to build a future free from fear, oppression, and manipulation. While echoes of Palpatine's vision persist, the rise of new heroes and movements offers hope that the cycle of tyranny can be broken. Ultimately, the story of Star Wars teaches us that freedom is never guaranteed. It must be continuously earned, defended, and renewed. The galaxy may always grapple with its past, but through collective effort and resilience, it can chart a course toward a brighter future beyond the shadow of the Sith.